Oh,
Yeah. But I
okay.
just to introduce you, I wanted to just say, you're the senior manager of social impact at Shopify, and you work closely with social impact businesses around the world. You build educational tools at Shopify and provide platform support to launch and grow successful social enterprises. And outside of work, you also have your own eco-conscious business, running Copper Root Collective, a bath and skincare company, which with 100% of the profits are going directly to water projects in Zambia, which
Yeah.
sounds amazing. So my first question is, social impact. How do you define that, and how did you get into this area?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there isn't a universal definition for social impact and social entrepreneurship. And so how we see social impact at Shopify, or um, what we're kind of blanketing as sustainability, because there's a lot of, and people have these ideas that, sustainability is only environmental, social impact is only, human rights and people based. However, we use the definition sustainability, and it encompasses both environmental action and social impact and human rights actions. And so obviously a social enterprise is a business that is working in one of these two areas to make the planet, or working conditions and economic rights better for people around the world. And kind of the sweet spot and how we kind of describe it is, it's kind of like a Venn diagram. So there's environmental action over here, and then there's positive human rights action. And the sweet spot is in that middle of the Venn diagram, and that's kind of like the gold standard for what is sustainability. And so if you are building a business, not to say that your journey is going to begin in the middle of that Venn diagram where everything is perfect, but that is kind of the goal when you start a social enterprise, is that your business is going to be positively impacting the environment, and also the people that you work with on, at the very beginning of your supply chain and all the way to your employee base and your customers, and thinking about what that looks like. So yeah. And then how I got into this space, it was really kind of by accident. I've always kind of been interested in social entrepreneurship. When I started at Shopify in 2016, we were all encouraged to start our own stores. So the baby idea of Copper Root Collective was already done. It was born out of my university degree in a course that I took in fourth year. And so being encouraged to start a business, having recently spent a month in Southern Africa and visiting the village that I support, I thought, what better time than to start this business? So I've always kind of been in the space, even though it's not been, directly with my role at Shopify. And then, my boss, Brady, we had been talking for a while kind of about social impact and social entrepreneurship, and how Shopify is like positioned so perfectly to support these types of businesses. And then, after a couple of years of talking about it and him talking to other people about it, eventually the team Social Impact was born. And I was very fortunate to become a part of that team and to lead all of our social enterprise initiatives at Shopify.
Okay, cool. And a lot of it is about raising awareness, isn't it? I mean, what are the main challenges the e-commerce industry in particular is faced with when it comes to its impact on the planet?
Well, e-commerce in general, I mean, just by definition, people in e-commerce, particularly online businesses, they're shipping. We're not going to stop shipping goods to people. It's not going to like all of a sudden like vaporize into the air and then appear at someone's doorstep. And so I think that is one of the biggest challenges for the environment, and packaging as well. Everything that, we can create the most beautiful products that are packageless. And I do laugh a little bit when people say, their products are packageless and they're running a D2C online business. I'm like, okay, that's kind of a lie. And I mean, you do have to have some form of labeling, especially if you're in the food and beauty business. But so packaging is another one. So just making sure, if you can offset your shipping, if you can find more environmentally friendly shipping methods, I know it's not ideal, but the reality is slower shipping methods are usually also more environmentally friendly.
Mhm.
Things like freight rather than air. Although we're kind of in a day where people want things yesterday. And so it's kind of, making that conscious decision as a business. And then, with packaging, we have Eco Enclosed is a fabulous partner of ours, and they gave us their time to do a full 1 hour webinar on sustainable packaging, kind of the best practices, and plastic versus paper, and all the questions that you have. I would recommend kind of watching that and seeing what's out there, because packaging is very complicated. A sustainable packaging can be quite complicated, and so just knowing where to start is a good place.
You mentioned a few already just now, but what kind of social impact trends are you seeing in your work at Shopify?
I think the idea of social impact is a trend in itself, definitely. I think that with the pandemic, people really started to shop with or vote with their dollars, as we say, and finding brands that align with their values, be it maybe they're supporting a local hospital, maybe they're, donating to a food bank, or maybe they're, just building things that are environmentally friendly. So I think that, I don't want to say it's a trend. I don't think it's going away, but we certainly saw an uptick in these types of businesses, either well-established businesses shifting some of their business models to be more sustainable, or new businesses cropping up to solve some of those challenges during the pandemic. And so, I think that that's the biggest one for sure. Merchants have certainly been asking us about packaging. That's definitely a big one that is top of mind for merchants is, how do they source these types of packaging? What can they be sourcing? Where do they even start? And so we're kind of looking at what that looks like. So those are kind of the biggest trends I've been seeing. But I mean, obviously the marketing piece I think is going to emerge. And that's why I wrote this piece is, people are doing a lot of good and they're not talking about the good that they're doing. And so, there's that disconnect. They're building this amazing social enterprise that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
So how can we make sure that people are knowing about these incredible brands that are doing really incredible and innovative things for the planet and for people?
Can you give us a little overview of what your chapter is about?
Sure. So my chapter is about how to do a sustainability storytelling audit. So the idea came to me, I've been working with merchants for the past 3 years directly on social entrepreneurship and impact and how it appears on their online store. And the thing that I was seeing time and time again is that I would be talking to this merchant and they'd be so excited to tell me their story about, the social impact that their business was having on the world. And I would say to them, that's great, but the only person that knows about it is me, because I have the privilege of working at Shopify and I get to call you. So how are your customers who don't have your phone number, your email, going to figure this out? And so working with our store optimization team, which does actual store audits on, speed and how your collections are displayed, I started talking to them about how to run an audit for this type of storytelling. And I think the two really go nicely together. And so it talks about, how your impact story should be a journey throughout your whole online store, because there's so many touch points in your online store. It's kind of like going into a different room. You're on your about page. It's like going into, a different room and trying to learn more about the brand. And if you're not constantly displaying the impact that you're doing, some customer might come in through a different entry point and they're not seeing your home page, or they're not seeing your about page, and they're going straight to your product page, and there's no way for them to know that there's an impact being made. And so how can you share this? Because I mean, at the end of the day, it does lead to more conversion, and we're seeing the science of that. And so it's really just how to do an audit of those top 3 types of pages on your online store to make sure that you're displaying your impact, but in a way that's relevant to that page and the journey that the customer is on.
Mm-hmm. And then how can e-commerce managers get started? What are, the first steps that they can take to make sure their online store is more sustainable?
Yeah, I mean, first it's probably understanding what the company does that is sustainable. And so whether they're the actual founder and they're also managing the e-commerce store, or it's kind of diving in with a few members on the team to really understand that journey, so that they can tell that story properly on the online store. Because if there's a disconnect in internal communications between maybe it's the founder, or there's a sustainability team, and then there's somebody running the online store, and they're not telling those stories together, then there's definitely a disconnect, and you're not going to see that sustainability story told on the online store. And so e-com managers should definitely do some digging, really understand, all of the touch points that are related to sustainability, and so that they can weave that storyline throughout everything, really understanding, the impact of each product. And that's going to take a bit of digging. It might mean hiring a third party to help you with that. But really, getting to the nuts and bolts, really going as granular as you possibly can, because again, what we're seeing more and more is that vague statements aren't converting, because people aren't really trusting these, we're sustainable statements. People are asking, well, how, why, what, tell me more. And so if you're not there to tell people more, then they're not really buying into your story. And so really sharing those details, and all e-com managers, depending on the team, whether they're working with copy editors or whatever, really making sure that everyone on their team fully understands that sustainability story, so that they can put it everywhere along that online store that needs to be.
Mm-hmm. Are there any resources that you'd like to recommend? Any resources on sustainability that you've helped build maybe?
Well, I mean, our Compass courses are amazing, and it really kind of helps. I'm not sure if some of them are relevant to e-com managers, because it's, they might not be making the decisions on packaging, but certainly the language and how to talk about sustainability from experts is certainly helpful. There's a discussion about circularity, so understanding, that whole model and how can your business maybe contribute to a circular economy could be helpful. And even just, we have a 30-minute master class on how to start a social enterprise. And so just, understanding all the facets that go into running a business, a sustainable business, could certainly be helpful when you're thinking about that language. And yeah, we went from 0 to 7 courses over the span of 2-3 months. So it's definitely been a whirlwind. I mean, I've been giving audits to some of our merchants through some of the programs that we run here at Shopify. And so if that's something of interest to any e-com manager, I'm certainly happy to discuss more about what that could look like.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I think I saw these courses. I'm going to try and find the links to put them into the article, and maybe we can put them into the video as well.
I can send it to you. I can send you.
That would be great. Yeah, just to make sure we've got everything, and then I can link to it from probably from the video as well. That would be great if they can do that.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you so much. That's it.
That was easy. Awesome. Easy.
I've been thanks with the PDF, so you can have a look at the PDF. I'm quite excited to see it myself, and I share it with you when I get it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you, and it's so great to talk to you. And yeah, thanks for your help on the article. It was really great.
Thank you for writing it in the first place.
Well, it takes a really talented writer to take someone's garbled words and turn them into masterpieces.
Oh, it was great. It was great to see everyone from Shopify in there as well. Like see Courtney in there. I dealt with Courtney before, like a few years ago.
Okay, yeah, she's fabulous. So yeah, all of your help was very much appreciated. So thank you again. And yeah, looking forward to seeing the article. Yeah. Okay.
Soon. Watch the space. Okay.
Excellent. Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.